So I've seen this doing the rounds on Twitter, and it physically makes me feel sick. Liverpool won the league last season. Arne Slot basically didn't get a single signing in, unless you count Chiesa and Mamadashvili, who, like Mamadashvili's coming now, and Chiesa, I don't think it was an Arne Slot signing. And now, not just one elite signing, but Liverpool are planning multiple elite signings in the same window. Florian Wirtz is already in, a generational player. And not only have they won the league and signed a generational player, they're trying to get Isak. We will know probably within the next week if they can get Isak or not, because Newcastle do not want to sell. But Liverpool is saying, well, we'll go for your target Ekitike then, and we'll give you this amount of money then. And it'll be interesting to see if Newcastle's stance changes. But if they don't get Isak, they'll go for Ekitike up top. And now they're also going for Rodrigo at left wing, potentially if Diaz leaves, with bids coming in for Bayern Munich. You just look at that bench for Liverpool. Guehi, Endo as well, Jones. Like, I'm a Man United fan, and basically every player on Liverpool's bench for next season would walk into our current starting 11, which is quite scary. This is not just Florian Wirtz and won the league and Kerkez and Frimpong, which is a good window. This is Mark Guehi, top level England centre-back, maybe England's best centre-back. This is, we want Alexander Isak, the best striker in the world. And this is, we will go for Rodrigo from Real Madrid potentially. Obviously, sales, Darwin Núñez, Luis Diaz could impact that. We will get into the transfer news, but we've got to talk about Liverpool's squad for next season. We're going to go through each player, the strengths, what these players could add, whether it be Ekitike or Isak, what it could add, Rodrigo. We're going to talk about that with the assumption that Diaz and Núñez are sold. This is what Liverpool's squad could look like next season. And I don't think people realise how overpowered this is. Like, right now, they're probably now up in 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1. But you look at Kerkez, you look at Frimpong, they're very attacking fullbacks. They're very attacking minded. And the way Arne Slot had used fullbacks in the past at Feyenoord, not every season, but at times, was he almost got his fullbacks to act as wingbacks, which would make sense with Frimpong brought in and Kerkez being very attacking minded in build-up. They would play with a back four, but when Liverpool would build out, potentially the DM in Gravenberch could drop deep and sort of act as a little bit of a centre-back in build-up, coming centrally, allowing Van Dijk and Konate to go wider. This also suits Guehi with experience of playing in a back three to potentially help in build-up here. This would bring, basically, when Liverpool build out from the back, because Gravenberch drops between the centre-backs and acts as an extra player, this draws the opposition's press to be more central. So with players like Gravenberch, which is one of the reasons Arne Slot likes him, because he can bait the press so well when he's very press resistant, Gravenberch could draw in the press, and all of a sudden Liverpool will play it out the back wide to someone like Frimpong and Kerkez. Now, Frimpong and Kerkez are elite ball carriers, so when the ball is played to them out wide, they're just going to bomb up there. Now, I'm going to tell you something about Salah and Rodrigo. There's two types of wingers. There's wingers that hold the touchline and hold the width, and sometimes you see the fullbacks invert and come in. Yeah, we've seen that many times. Or you get wingbacks that go out wide and hold the width, and the wingers that come and invert in. And Salah, Gakpo, and Rodrigo do their best work when they come on the inside. We know how lethal Salah is with his left foot. We know how lethal Gakpo is with his right foot. Gakpo is so much better on the inside, same as Rodrigo. When you have fullbacks like Kerkez and Frimpong bombing up, that means that Salah and Rodrigo have more license to go into this space. You've also got to think if Frimpong and Kerkez are holding the width, then the opposition's back four has to completely stretch across the whole pitch to deal with Frimpong and Kerkez, meaning there will be more gaps in the opposition's defence for Rodrigo, Isak or Ekitike or Salah to make those runs. And you've got to take into account that Florian Wirtz is the 10. So all of a sudden, Kerkez and Frimpong could be bombing up the pitch. They could be playing it into Rodrigo or Salah here. But also, if Florian Wirtz gets the ball, he's an absolute baller at 10. He could play Isak in, he could play Rodrigo in, he could play Salah in. If it doesn't go to Wirtz, you've got McAllister, who for me is a world-class player. And also, Isak and Ekitike are known for being able to drop deep. What does dropping deep allow them to do? Can net play, help stability in the final third, link up with teammates, help fluidity? Yes, but also, if one of them drops deep, they will draw a defender with them. And that could leave more space for Gakpo and Salah in central areas, maybe Wirtz to go into the left half space, McAllister to go in the right half space. You could see triangle combinations here, potentially creating overloads, space drawn out here by potentially Ekitike dropping deep, and players coming central to exploit that. Now, I don't know how much that makes sense. I'm not a big tactical person, but I'm hoping that it's clear about how overpowered Liverpool could actually be next season. My screen just lagged out there. But yes, before I continue talking about this further, talking about these individual players and how they will lift up Liverpool and their individual attributes, I want to talk about the transfer news and where this has come from. I want to talk about Isak, the possibility of it happening, the latest on that, because I think like Liverpool have played Newcastle in the sense of they're basically saying we're not going to let you get Isak and Ekitike. It's one or the other. You never know. Newcastle could get both. Newcastle could just give it back to Liverpool and get both and pull Ekitike in. But I don't think Isak to Liverpool is as straightforward as maybe some people online think. Like I think a lot of Liverpool fans think that they can just walk in and get Isak. And I think it will be a harder deal to do because if Newcastle don't want to sell, they don't have to sell. He's got 3 years left on his contract, and you'd have to put in a lot of money, I think, for Newcastle to consider selling. And I don't think it's the easiest deal to potentially do. But we are going to talk about the latest transfer news on Isak, on Rodrygo, how they would lift up Liverpool. Mark Guehi as well was another one that's been linked to Liverpool. It's slowed down a bit recently, but I assume it could advance pretty soon. But yes, let's talk about this then. So basically, the news is that Liverpool are going to look to sign a striker. We've known that for a while. And as it was mentioned the other day, it's Ekitike or Isak. But Isak is who Liverpool want. Romano did say today that Liverpool have made contact with Hugo Ekitike on Monday. He said before approach to Newcastle for Isak. So Liverpool are starting to make their approach for Isak. He said story remains the same. Liverpool want Isak. They have a bid ready for Isak. There's reports that bid that they have ready for Isak is between 120 to 130 million pounds, which you assume is a figure that Newcastle might accept. I think 150 million is definitely a bit of a sweet spot. But do you think they'd accept as low as 120, 130 million? Potentially with PSR issues, said by Romano. Ornstein then confirmed that Liverpool have made contact with Hugo Ekitike, which was reported this morning. He said that Liverpool are working to sign the 23-year-old forward. They also like Isak. So again, you've got Romano, you've got Ornstein on this. You've got the two best sources in media on this. And it's very clear Liverpool are making a move. They want the striker deal done. They want it wrapped up. It will be Isak or it will be Ekitike. Unless Newcastle do an absolute madness and managed to get both Isak and Ekitike, which would be quite fun. Managed to keep Isak and get Ekitike, which would be quite funny. But something tells me Liverpool have maybe a slight advantage in the situation of even if they don't sell Isak, something tells me Liverpool will then go and get Ekitike. But other updates coming in was that Liverpool have again confirmed to Newcastle that they want to put in a record bid for Isak. They revealed that on Tuesday they want to put in a record bid for Isak. Apparently a proposal was ready at 120 million, but it will only be sent if Newcastle change their stance. If Newcastle say, okay, look, we'll be willing to listen to offers for Isak, then Newcastle are there. If Newcastle say they're willing to listen to offers for Isak, then Liverpool are there with their bid. Like they literally just spent over 100 million on Wirtz and they're ready to go in for Isak and be like, boom, boom, boom. Like, but it's only if Newcastle, you know what, we're going to change our stance. We're willing to sell Isak a bit, which I don't know if Newcastle will do that. It's going to be interesting to see how this develops over the next few days. I think right now Isak is open to joining Liverpool because Liverpool wouldn't be making moves for Isak if he wasn't open to joining. But I don't think Isak is pushing to join Liverpool. I think he's happy to stay at Newcastle and be part of the project. I think if Isak all of a sudden pushed and started to indicate he wanted to join Liverpool, it could be a different scenario. Guys, I do apologise if there is a little bit of lag. It says the Wi-Fi is fine. But then on my streaming software, it's saying it's lagging, which is annoying because there's literally like 100 megabytes right now. So it shouldn't be lagging, but apparently it is lagging. But basically, after a deal is sorted for one of the strikers, Liverpool could move for Rodrigo. Now, it's unknown if he's going to leave Real Madrid because apparently he's happy there. But it's feeling more and more likely that he will leave Real Madrid as Xavi Alonso Madrid are pushing him out. And with Diaz getting bids from Bayern Munich, there's also interest from Barcelona in Diaz. There's a feeling there could be some advancements with Diaz's exit, which means Liverpool would look at replacement, and I'm sure Rodrigo's top of the list. Liverpool have made some early checks on Rodrigo. I think they've got a good connection with his agent as well. I'm not sure what the situation is on that. The player wants to leave Real Madrid is now being reported by Edu17 Burgos, but again, I don't know what the credibility is in that. But Liverpool are now willing to go all in and do whatever it takes to sign Rodrigo as news coming out. And apparently official talks are expected soon. I don't know how credible these sources are, but there is reports pretty much coming out saying that Liverpool are now leading the race for Rodrigo. They're expected to make their move soon in regards to Rodrigo, and the player's open to joining Liverpool. So that could be one to watch. We also know on Ekitike, because we've spoken about Isak a lot, But in regards to what Liverpool have done in terms of Ekitike, it was said that Liverpool have held informal talks with people involved to assess Ekitike's ability, and he remains a strong attacking option. But you have got to remember that Newcastle are working on the Ekitike deal. There is a small percentage that Newcastle could pull something off by keeping Isak and getting Ekitike, and then you've got to talk about what Liverpool are going to do. Because all I'm going to say is Ekitike plays best in the front two, and if Newcastle say, look, we're going to keep Isak and play in the front two with Isak, Ekitike might look at that and think, you know what, that is something I like. In regards to other things that have been said on Isak, apparently Liverpool are reading 120 million bid, but they won't do that unless they get the green light that Newcastle are open to selling. Right now, Newcastle don't want to sell. There's a sense that Liverpool would only make an approach if there was some encouragement somewhere, said Ornstein, and Liverpool are making an approach, so maybe there has been some encouragement from either Isak or Newcastle that we're unaware of. But direct club-to-club contact is ongoing as we speak, and Isak hasn't shut the door. He's open to negotiations. You know, I think Isak is very much saying, look, if Newcastle are happy to sell me, I'm happy to go to Liverpool, but I'm not going to force my way out. I feel like that might be the situation with Isak. But look, this makes me feel sick. I can't lie. You've got an elite ball striker with movement in behind in terms of Isak or Ekitike. Isak's an elite striker. Ekitike isn't. Isak's an elite ball striker. Ekitike is a good technical player, but he's not a ball striker like Isak. But you've got potentially a striker coming in that's going to link well with the wide runners like Gakpo, Salah, potentially Diaz or Rodrigo. Players that work hard off the ball, can drop deep, that are flexible, and will thrive. You've got that in either Ekitike or Isak, depending on who comes in. And the crazy thing is, I look at Liverpool. They've just won the league. They didn't get any big signings in. They're now gone into transfer overdrive. Wirtz, Frimpong, Kerkez, Guehi's now lined up. Isak or Ekitike potentially up top. Rodrigo potentially coming in to replace Diaz. All of this under Arne Slot, who's already proven he's elite because he's literally won the league in his first season with Liverpool when he basically didn't get any signings or any backing, which is crazy. And if you look at Liverpool and what they've got McAllister, Gravenberch, Jones, Endo, Szoboszlai that can all go in that midfield, Wirtz coming in. They had the best midfield in the league last season. There is questions over depth for Gravenberch because I don't think Slot trusts Endo a lot. They've got Konate and Van Dijk, which is arguably the best centre-back pairing in the league last season, with Guehi potentially coming in as really good level depth with that. You know, Kerkez and Frimpong as two fast, rapid, good ball carrying, good duel, 1v1 dueler. Fullbacks coming in. You know, Gakpo, we saw him on the left wing last season. At times we saw the best out of Gakpo at times on the left wing. Salah we know is elite. And then you've got either Ekitike, this technical baller, or Isak, the best striker in the world, coming in with Wirtz and the 10 to create for them. And it's crazy. And I'm going to talk about how Isak improves Liverpool. We're going to talk about all the players that Liverpool are linked to and how they improve Liverpool. So with Isak, he's an elite ball striker with really good movement in behind. Isak is an unbelievable finisher. I think Ekitike has underperformed his XG and isn't the most complete finisher, but he's very technically good. Isak has got the technicality of Ekitike, which is why a lot of people like Ekitike. But Isak also has like elite ball striking, really good box movement. Isak can dribble, he can drop deep, he can link up play. His movement is good, but he can get on the box and he can get in the box and get on the end of crosses. He can score outside the box, inside the box. Isak is that kind of elite level player, but he also works hard off the ball and is better for he gets credit for in that aspect. He can drop deep, he can lead the line, and he's just a flexible player. And I feel like with Frimpong, Kerkez, Rodrigo creating chaos, he thrives with that. You know, if you don't get Isak, Ekitike is still a really good option. He's been unbelievable at Frankfurt. His close control, link-up play, movement is so good. He can drop deep. And I think his ability to drop deep could allow Wirtz to go further forward and they could alternate with each other, which could work well. And if you look at Ekitike and his ceiling and the player he could be, it's really, really high. And I think with Liverpool, he's really going to help in the build-up with his ability to drop deep. And I also think that, yes, he works better in a front two, and maybe Wirtz and him could almost operate as a front two at times, with Wirtz going quite far forward. But I think with Slot giving attacking freedom and Slot's system being so versatile, I think Ekitike could thrive a lot in that. And then we go into Rodrigo. Rodrigo, I just lagged and cut out again there. This is the annoying thing about being in a hotel, is when the Wi-Fi isn't great, it keeps cutting out. So this thing has cut out like 3 times. Which is annoying because when it cuts out, sometimes you forget what your flow is. But Rodrigo, I think, again, would be a top signing. The thing about Rodrigo is he can play left wing and right wing. I actually think he's better on the left, but I feel like with Gakpo and Diaz, they're very one-sided to the left. So if something does happen to Salah, I feel like they're very one-sided to their left, whereas Rodrigo can play on the left, but if something happens to Salah, we know he can play on the right, and he's played all across the front line. You could play him centrally, I personally wouldn't, but he's very good at coming inside, which is obviously what Kerkez or Frimpong would allow him to do. But you've got someone, particularly if Diaz goes, that can challenge Gakpo, put Gakpo on the bench, and Gakpo on the bench is elite depth. But you've got someone that can also come in for Salah when Salah's at AFCON, play with Gakpo. And I also think when you look at Rodrigo, the type of player he is, if he has a fullback that's going to overlap him out wide, and he's got a striker that can drop deep, that is unselfish and link play, then you're very much going to get the best out of Rodrigo doing that. And I think, with Wirtz in behind, potentially playing with Salah, it's crazy. Like Rodrigo, Salah, Wirtz, Isak is ridiculous. And then we talk about Mark Guehi. Mark Guehi is maybe the long-term Van Dijk replacement. He could come in for the future as the long-term Van Dijk replacement. But with Konate picking up injuries, with Konate potentially going next season with 1 year left on his deal, Liverpool need to look at centre-back. Kwanza's gone, and they needed a better third centre-back last season. Because if one gets injured, there could be a drop-off. If you went from Van Dijk to Kwanza for 4 months, there's going to be a drop-off. Whereas with Guehi, there's not a big drop-off between Van Dijk and Guehi. Guehi all of a sudden brings elite depth, because the best way to get elite depth is you look at your best starting 11 and you sign someone that could put someone in your best starting 11 that you're quite happy with as a player on the bench. And Guehi's got potential to put Konate on the bench. Konate will start to begin with, but he's got that potential. And he's proven at Palace, he's a leader, he's got crazy experience for his age. So you've potentially got Guehi coming in. Florian Wirtz is in, we know how elite he is. Kerkez and Frimpong are in, we know how good they are. But potentially Isak or Ekitike, potentially Rodrigo, potentially Mark Guehi, and Liverpool could even go and get another midfielder for depth. You never know. Anyway, thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts down below. I hope this doesn't happen. I hope Newcastle stop this from happening. Thank you for watching. Bye.